The NIHR BioResource is a powerful and unique resource that consists of thousands of volunteers who have agreed to participate in health research. Researchers, whether from an academic institution or industry partners, as well as clinicians and scientific institutions, are applying to the BioResource for us to actually help them with their health research project or their clinical trial. So in general, research and finding participants to actually contribute to research is quite difficult, very challenging when there is a genetic component to those research studies. The BioResource's unique point is that actually it can facilitate and speed up the research by already screening participants that otherwise would be much more difficult for researchers to find. So our volunteers can actually be members of the general population or patients with a common or rare disease condition. So we have actually different cohorts in the BioResource panels. For example, we look at mental health disorders, inflammatory bowel disease, as well as conditions related to our immune system, as well as COVID-19. The BioResource was established in about 2006 in Cambridge when researchers wanted to actually study the interaction between gene, disease and the environment. Since then, we have expanded. We are now funded by the NIHR, the National Institute for Health Research, and we have 13 centres across England. The last 2 years have been very challenging for everyone, and the work of the NIHR BioResource has to be put on hold. Instead, we have created a COVID-19 BioResource to look at the effect of the virus, but also the vaccine response in panels and the general public. As part of the NIHR BioResource COVID-19 cohort, we have recruited members of the public as well as healthcare workers who might have been asymptomatic, i.e. infected with the virus but not showing any symptoms, as well as patients being admitted to the hospital and some of them also requiring intensive care unit. Therefore, we had actually all degrees of severity of COVID-19 and being able to support research for many purposes.
The BioResource has been absolutely vital to our research because we first of all described how the virus is evolving within individual people, and the individual we reported had been recruited through the BioResource, and through collection of samples over many months we were able to show that the virus was evolving in real time, developing lots of mutations during a period when we were treating that individual with therapeutic antibodies. And so it was absolutely critical for us to describe for the first time to the world how this virus was evolving and was generating new variants through infections in individual people that spilled over. The BioResource study that we led or conducted really was into vaccine responses in young and old individuals. In fact, we were more interested in what was happening in the elderly at the time because they were the first to be vaccinated. And so we recruited around 200 individuals spanning many age groups. Half of them were over 70 years old, and they had been vaccinated with Pfizer, and then we subsequently recruited a further 100 that were vaccinated with the AstraZeneca vaccine. And we've been following them up over 2 years now, and this has been extremely valuable in understanding how antibody responses wane over time and the effect of boosting, and also how these vaccinations deal with the new variants.
From a technical side of things, so we come here almost on a daily. Every single time a patient comes into the BioResource, we collect these samples, we take them back to our lab, we separate the samples, so we do spins using simple basic laboratory equipment such as centrifuges. We collect the samples, both blood cells and also sort of blood plasma. So downstream we set up neutralization by basically using pseudovirus systems. So we make non-infectious type of the virus in our labs, and the bloods that we collect we mix with this particular virus and see how people respond. So that's basically what we've been doing over the last year or so.
We all have a role to play in health research. Any contribution will help in the long run. To join the BioResource or to withdraw from the BioResource is very easy. So our participants provide biological samples, whether it's a blood or saliva, and they also give us some information about their health and lifestyle.
But the reason I decided to take part in the BioResource, and I must admit I didn't take too long to do that, was the fact that, I really believe that unless people do help in these trials, we shall never get the answers that we want. If you don't find the answers to questions, you will never solve the problem. So, basically, it was all I was doing was giving a little bit of my blood and a little bit of my time and helping out in the great cause. What makes me motivated actually is that you're actually able to do something in a situation which seems very hopeless when everybody's catching the virus at the time. That you something positive, and not only that, you feel a little bit proud that you are helping. And you just come in, you have a little bit of blood taken, you're given a drink and a biscuit, and you go home. So there's nothing to be afraid of. So I would really encourage anybody who gets the opportunity to come on the BioResource trials if they can.